Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover up to 20 titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and up to 20 more from DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class, and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. This episode focuses on titles released between January 14th and the 19th of 2022. We've got lots of 5th edition content, including adventures, monsters, subclasses, spells, and even optional rules, so stay tuned all the way to the end so you don't miss a title. First up, we've got the Acolyte Survivor. It's an adventure for 4 to 6 first-level characters from Gaetano Paviglianetti, I guess. I don't know how you say that. And it says, the section of the tradeway between Daggerford and the Way Inn has been safe for a long time. However, rumors of isolated attacks by wild beasts have recently been reported. Another fanciful tale of a drunken bard, or something to really worry about. A slaughter, 1 survivor, maybe 2, if only you are in time. And it says it's got 4 battle maps, handouts, and 2 new enemies. So, and it has a publisher preview, so we're going to look inside here. So you can see it's got the 3 parts to the adventure with a conclusion, an epilogue, and some notes. And then you got your maps, your props, and your creature statistics. We're getting to see 7 of those 22 pages. And here's the primer, the background, the adventure hooks. Get the format, nice layout, easy to read. You've got all of the sights and sounds. I really like that. Even odors here in the environment. So we'll look at some of those in a minute. And then you've got the maps starting down here. So yeah, looking at this environment, under sight it says the glade is in front of the border between the hills and the forest. The wagon is destroyed and the goods are scattered on the ground. Some arrows and a spear are stuck in it. But then under sounds, you've got growlings and animal chuckling, a broken chant whispered from the dwarf, and then under odors you've got blood odor. So a number of different sensory descriptions, which I like. And then let's take a look at some of the hooks here. So these are the hooks that you can use to get the characters into the adventure or not. You can make up your own. It says the characters have been hired in Daggerford to bring a wagon of wine supplies to the Way Inn. They have been asked to stop to the hamlet of Bowshot to unload part of the supplies. And then another one is at the Way Inn. An acolyte taking care of the little chapel of Lathander and Bowshot is seeking for an escort to the hamlet since he heard rumors that recently the way to Daggerford is becoming unsecure due to the wild beast attacks. So a number of options there for you, and it looks really fun. It's only $1.85, so take a look in the links in the video description. Look for Acolyte Survivor and give it a click. Next, we have Archers Revisited by E.R.F. Jordan, $2.95 for 10 pages. It says, between lackluster class options and a scarcity of magic bows and arrows, archers are woefully underserved in this edition of D&D. This supplement aims to give archers more choices and character creation from subclasses to spells and magic items. It says 2 subclasses, the revised Arcane Archer Fighter and the Deadeye Ranger. 13 new spells, arrow-themed magic based off the Arcane Archer's arsenal, and 13 new magic items, including magic bows, crossbows, quivers, and ammunition. So let's take a look inside. You get to see 5 of those 10 pages. It's got a nice layout and artwork going on in here. So yeah, good sampling here. We even get to see some of the spells. So it starts up here with the revised fighter for an arcane archer here. It says it's a classic character concept, a fighter trained by elves to weave magical power into their arrows and defend the fringes of nature with supernatural might. Arcane archers are the very symbol of grace and destruction, balancing magic and martial prowess to devastate their foes. And let's find one of the features here that we can read. So magic arrow at 7th level. You gain the ability to infuse arrows with magic. Whenever you fire a non-magical arrow from a short bow or longbow, you can make it magical for the purpose of overcoming resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks and damage. The magic fades from the arrow immediately after it hits or misses its target. So that's fun. You know, it's just, you're just making it magical. You don't have to add an effect to it. It just becomes magical in terms of overcoming resistance. And then you've got the Ranger Deadeye. Let's read their 7th level. So Close Quarters Archer. You can utilize your archer skills even in close quarters combat. Your ranged weapons attacks suffer no disadvantage as a result of being within 5 feet of a hostile creature. Additionally, when you hit a creature with a ranged weapon attack on your turn, you don't provoke attacks of opportunity from that creature for the rest of your turn. So that's cool. You know, a lot of times ranged have to deal with penalties for being up close, so that's helpful. And then let's read one of the spells down here under the arrow spells. So I like the name Banishing Arrow, so let's read that one. It's 5th level Abjuration. It's a range of self, and it's a concentration up to 1 minute. The next time you hit a creature with a ranged weapon attack before the spell ends, you attempt to banish the target to a harmless location in the Feywild. The attack deals an extra 4d10 force damage, and the target must succeed on a charisma saving throw or be banished. While banished in this way, its speed is 0 and it is incapacitated. At the end of the target's next turn, it reappears in a space it vacated or the nearest unoccupied space if that space is filled. And then it's got upcasting, so when you use spell slots of 5th or higher, the damage increases 1d10 for each slot above 4th. Very fun. Yeah, very flavorful arrows, ties right into the ranger or fighter or, you know, any kind of archer character. I think there's a lot of opportunities in here, and the artwork and layout is all very nice and fun. So check it out in the links below under Archers Revisited and give it a click. Next, we've got Children of the Lightless Night, College of the Umbrius, and it's from Wild Witch Role Playing. And it's $1.99 for 8 pages. It says this tome contains exciting additions for your player character or NPC catalog. First, the Children of the Lightless Night, mortals born under the dark curtain of a lunar eclipse and infused with the essence of the Shadowfell. They can see with eyes of death, resist mortal ailments, and draw health from other living creatures. Additionally, they can undertake powerful, fascinating class archetypes such as the Bard's College of the Umbrius, which teaches an exhilarating ghostly dance that evokes the very shadows to dance and bedevil the bard's enemies. Also included are 2 magic items and 2 feats for characters who take the Lightless Night option. It's time to seize your destiny with the power of the Lightless Night. And then, so it says here, racial option, Children of the Lightless Night, Bard College, College of the Umbrius, 2 magic items based upon the Lightless Night theme, and then 2 feats as well on that theme. So very nice little package of stuff here. Let's take a look inside, and it's $1.99 for these 8 pages. 5 pages in the preview, so you get to see most of it. So you've got your introduction, and talks about how they're born in darkness. And then it goes through the traits of the race, and then it goes right into the college. So we'll look a little bit at the race, because I do want you to come check it out on your own. I don't want to give everything away. So let's read a little bit about it. So it is said that the veil between life and death rests in a tenuous balance, giving and taking much as day and night each fade into each other. Souls flow into afterlives, and those bound for the plane of shadow cross the veil adrift in an endless current. Meanwhile, necromancers draw upon energy and spirits for their spells, and they bend the veil, pulling the current back toward the world of the living. When this barrier weakens, that current can become a raging tide through which the dead realm feeds upon the world and leaves its creatures parched, withered, or worse. One such time occurs during a lunar eclipse, when the light of the saloon suddenly vanishes from the sky, leaving the world in a sea of bewildering darkness. Night is the time of spirits, when the veil bends naturally, and during an eclipse, it thins to nigh nothingness. The Shadowfell pulls the terrifying pulls with terrifying veracity, siphoning life from the mortal plane. So nice, flavorful, interesting description of the Veil being weakened, which kind of brings about this new race, because it says, just as the Veil bends to darkness, when Selûne's light returns, the tide shifts, and children who survive the Feast of Shadows are imbued with reverse flow of Stygian energy and umbral vitality. Filled with the essence of the Shadowfell to replenish what was stolen from them, they become children of two worlds, light and darkness. So very, very thematic. Could work well with Ravenloft, or really any place where you can have eclipses and things. So you've got the traits here. So look at a few of the traits. We're not going to look at all of them, but I want to highlight a few. So it says, shaded sight. During the eclipse at your birth, your eye color faded away, replaced by bleak emptiness. Your eyes are now pale white, ashen gray, or fully black, and you gain dark vision within 60 feet. And then under Lightless Daywalker, like many deathbound entities, bright light discomforts you, and prolonged exposure leaves you feeling weary. While in bright light, you cannot take a long rest, and if you take a short rest in bright light, you cannot spend hit dice as normal. Additionally, if you spend more than 1 hour in bright light without a full covering, such as a hooded cloak, you gain 1 level of exhaustion. And then there's intense light also impairs your vision and impedes you from seeing over great distances. While you are in bright light, you have disadvantage on perception checks made to see further than 60 feet. And then Grim Invigoration. As a lightless child, you can now revitalize yourself like shades and wraiths, absorbing shadows or draining health from the living. When you take a short or long rest and remain in darkness for its duration, you regain additional hit points equal to twice your character level. You also gain the ability to slowly siphon life from nearby living creatures such as plants, animals, or other humanoids. Upon completion of a short rest, instead of spending hit dice like normal, you can choose to spend them and drain the number of hit points from living creatures of your choice that remained within 5 feet of you for the entire rest. The drained creatures suffer necrotic damage divided evenly from the total you would regain, and then you regain the hit points. This damage cannot reduce a humanoid creature below 1, and any excess damage is instead divided evenly among the other chosen creatures. So interesting mechanics and thematic for what's been described in the intro. And then you've got this whole Bard College in here as well. So I want you to click on the link and come take a look at that. But it seems fun. It's got a good price on it. For 8 pages, it's only $1.99. And it looks like it could be a really interesting, different take on a race, as well as, you've got this whole college to explore as well. So check it out in the links below under Children of the Lightless Night. Give it a click. Next we have Commander Gray's Guide to Warfare. And this is by Toby Shepard. It's got a suggested price of $1.36 for 6 pages. It says this book introduces a homebrew warfaring system that DMs can use to run large-scale battles in their own campaigns. Sometimes a cinematic description of the battle might not be appropriate for a war in your D&D game. It might be more interesting to instead play the battle out in turn-based combat to provide a more strategic and realistic outcome of the battle that feels like a more earned and engaging experience for players and the Dungeon Master. So, very cool. Let's take a look at it. So you get to see 2 of the pages. So it's got an intro to warfare, notes from the author, and then some of the basic rules. We'll look at some of the basic rules here. So let's see. It says game normally is run like a game of chess on a board. Whether you do this online on a website like Roll20 or have your own D&D grid battle map, anything is suitable as long as it is a square grid. Terrain and buildings can be added to reflect the environment of the battlefield if you wish. All units are placed on opposite ends of the board from one another like a chessboard. Both players roll a d10 to see who goes first. The person with the higher result goes first. If a draw, then both players re-roll. A player's turn is comprised firstly with moving all their units they wish to move and then attacking any units that they are able to, after which the player's turn is over and the next player's turn begins. When it goes back to the first player's turn, that is called the battle round. This repeats until one army has no units left on the board or until one player wishes to surrender. This is an additional rule to consider adding to your game, is that a 10 on a d10 is an instant success no matter the total. If you roll a 10 on a d10 for an attack roll, then the unit automatically successfully damages the unit for a total of the attacking unit's attack stat. And then it's got information on defense stats, attack stats, health points, movement, resolve. So it says the movement stat represents how mobile the unit is. The number is the value of how many squares the unit can move per turn. A unit can move forwards, left, right, backwards. Movement is done after the resolve check, but before the unit makes an attack. And then you've got the resolve, where you resolve the damage. And, presumably the rest of the book kind of goes into how you determine the stats for the units. It maybe has some sample units. But seems like an interesting option for people. Just doing a little montage of a battle is not always fun. Sometimes you want to see what actually happened and how did somebody die or whatever. And so maybe acting it all out could be really fun for people. So check it out in the links below under Commander Gray's Guide to Warfare. Give it a click. Next, we've got Doomhold Barrow, a solo adventure for 1 or 2 players with 1st, 4th level characters. And it's by Elfie Punk, $2.99 for 22 pages. It says, how far would you go for love? Even beyond the veil of death? And it says, brave the deadly foes of Doomhold Barrow in this original adventure. And it's part of a series called Isle of Storms, and this is the first one. And it says, choose your own difficulty level. You can also choose to scale up your encounters to heroic if you'd like additional challenges and rewards. And it comes with a custom battle map and 3 romanceable NPCs. And it says, as your character travels through the adventure, the green text boxes contain descriptions of what the character can see, hear, or smell. Your character can make choices based on the descriptions, and then you read the section in the adventure book that relates to the choice, like in the sample below. So looking at this, there's a kennel here. It says, this large room contains the guard dog's kennel. In the far corner is a bedroll, and it seems that sometimes the guard sleeps in this room. So encounter wolf, experience 50, gold 29, and then you can make it heroic and encounter 2 wolves and get more experience in gold. It says near the guard's bedroll is a potion of healing. You can try to calm the wolf by making a wisdom animal handling check, DC 10 or 6 if you have a piece of food to feed it. So kind of just explains what you're seeing, what's going on, and what you're going up against. And, you can use these stat blocks from the monster manual to actually have the fight happen and keep track of your own stats, etc., like usual. But you're also dealing with the monster stats. So just a little bit of extra paperwork, but seems like it could be fun. And sometimes you can't get a group together. So this could be a really cool way to just experience, D&D without a group. So you get to see 7 of the 22 pages here, and we've got how to play, some flavor text at the start, some of the characters you're going to meet, and then you've got simple weapons, martial weapons, armor, etc., and the captain's office, and then down here is the quest. And there's a job board that you're interacting with, it looks like, and then you've got your encounters. So you've got a gray ooze. Oh, it's just talking about, okay, this is like the normal encounter, and this is the heroic encounter. Very cool. Okay, I like it. So let's see if we can read just a little bit more flavor text to give you a little idea here. So let's read about the arrival. Port Seawall is a hard-working town on the small island of Stronsay. The port was once a hub of activity for adventurers seeking the fortunes deeper in the interior, lured by rumors of pirates' gold and magic. The locals are sturdy, gruff folk who are used to life on the Isle of Storms. Fishers, sailors, trappers, blacksmiths, and traders. The town has a small standing militia who look capable of fending off any would-be raiders or pirates. Travelers are always welcome, especially if they have items to trade or coin to spend. The town center boasts a small general store and the Lucky Monkey Inn, which has rooms to rent. So that's cool. I like the name, the Lucky Monkey. That's a good little inn name. So yeah, it's fun. You can read that to yourself. You can read it aloud to yourself if you want, or you can just read it in your head. But it seems like a really fun time, and 22 pages for a solo adventure, so that's pretty good. So I would look for it in the links below under Doomhold Barrow and give it a click. Next, we have The Fighter Reimagined by Gethin Pierce. It's $2.99 on a suggested price for pay what you want on 7 pages. It says the fighter has been bland and simple for too long. Become the master of weapons and lord of the battlefield like you were meant to be. Wield weapons with expert skill and technique. Move through combat with imperious confidence and push through the toughest of battles. Have you always felt the fighter got left behind by other classes as the game reached higher levels? Have you felt it was rather plain and over-reliant on the extra attack feature to keep pace? Well, this book is going to solve that for you. It's got grim determinations, shrug off wounds and exhaustion, martial techniques, choose your weapon with style, and fighting styles, choose your methods and improve them. And it even has a new archetype called Warlord. And it says, author's note, this class redesign was inspired by a belief that the Battlemaster archetype should have always been the base of the fighter class, adding a level of customizability and some variety to your attacks. Some playtesting has been conducted, but more is always welcome. Let me know your feedback. So very cool. And you get to see pretty much the whole book, because the cover's not here in the preview, and you're seeing 6 pages of the 7th, so the cover would be the 7th. So that's great. You can really look at this, see if it's going to work for you, and improve your game. And let's take a look here at some of this. So let's read about grim determination. Within you, you have a well of stamina that you can draw upon to push through the bloodiest of combats. On your turn, you can use a bonus action to gain a number of temporary hit points equal to 2 times your fighter level plus your con modifier for up to 10 minutes. While you have these hit points, you can ignore a number of points of exhaustion equal to half your proficiency bonus rounded down. Additionally, you can choose to spend 5 temporary hit points to reroll a saving throw. Once you have used this feature, you must finish a short or long rest before you can use it again. So, cool. Okay. And then fast recovery, beginning at 2nd level, you are able to recover from your wounds faster than most during the short rest when you spend 1 or more hit dice. When you roll a 1 or a 2 on the die, you can re-roll the die and use the new results. Cool. And then there are all sorts of stuff like martial training, extra attack, force and opening. And then you've got the Warlord down here, which is fun too. So I think this is cool, especially if you like playing fighter a lot. Gives you some different options, and it's a pay what you want price. And you get to read the whole thing before you purchase. So I think you should check it out under Fighter Reimagined in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Forgetting Fablerise. It's a supplement for Wild Beyond the Witchlight and Thither in particular. So Daniel Kahn has been releasing a series of these. We've covered a lot of the previous issues where Daniel's adding places to Prismere, the domain of delight that's in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and giving you more options and expanding on things for $1.99. And it's 12 pages. And it says, while Prismere is far from the only domain of delight within the multiverse, rarely do these realms cross paths. When Fablerise collides with Thither, blurring the border between their worlds, some might find themselves on a brand new adventure, while others just find they're lost within their own. So it's the second portion of Prismere, Thither, in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and each of the locations presented in this chapter can be explored quickly outside of Loomlurch. This mini-adventure aims to expand upon a location only hinted at in the book and briefly mentioned in Domains of Delight, Fablerise, while foreshadowing the League of Malevolence and Valor's Call. And it says the Domains of Delight book describes Fablerise as a small realm mistakenly nestled within Thither. It is ruled by its archfey Yarn Spinner, a giant spider with a love of sharing stories. And it says, while Domains of Delight provides a few descriptive details about the domain and its archfey, the adventure expands upon the realm, crafting a whimsical location and story, allowing characters to engage more deeply with Fablerise. So you've got the expanded Fablerise inside, you've got VTT maps, and then, of course, story connections to the rest of Wild Beyond the Witchlight as well. So here's some of the sample pages you can look at. So nice little map. I like that map a lot. It looks really cool. And then you've got a quick preview here that we can flip through. So cool spider looking stuff. And some really nice flavor text to read. So with all of these titles, it seems to be really nice art. Lots of VTT maps and cool things from Daniel. And as I've said on previous ones when we looked at them, it's cool because you can use these elsewhere in the Feywild. You can, Fablerise is its own domain, so you could have an in-story reason for why Fablerise is no longer nestled in Thither. It's its own thing, and this would give you more details on it to explore. You could place it in some other domains. People have been creating them. We have one in our book. Feywild Companion has its own domain, Dualis. You could put it in there, or you could even just use some of the characters, whatever. There's a lot of options here, and it's cool to have it expanded, especially if you're a pro DM and you're running these adventures all the time, or you just like to rerun adventures, or maybe you have multiple groups that you DM for, and so it's a nice way to mix it up so that, because as a DM, it can get boring if you're just running it by the book every time, right? So mixing it up, if especially if your players kind of stick to the storyline pretty well, putting something in there can be good. Or if maybe they've read ahead like they shouldn't, you can trick them by putting Fablerise in there and having it be more deep. So check it out under Forgetting Fablerise in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have the Golemist, a summoning class by Eric Baumeister, and it's $1.99 for 12 pages. It says the Golemist is a class all about animating new life, whether it be out of metal, the raw elements, stitched dead, or dimension-hopping mannequins. To a Golemist, animation is second nature, and the Golem is the extension of the self. So you get a new summons-based class, tables for origin stories, golem parts, aesthetics, companions, and more. New magic items for your campaign. So let's take a look inside. So you get to see 5 of those 12 pages, so you get to see a lot about the class here. It's got an ability called Animate, which we'll look at, and then here's a golem stat block. All kinds of information. Yeah, I mean, you're now on page 5 getting to the subclasses, so that's quite a bit of pages devoted to the class, which is good. When it's a new class, you're going to need all that information. So it says Animate. You gain the ability to animate a golem from spare parts and pieces of your environment. As a bonus action, you can summon a golem at an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet. You can, when you create your golem, choose the following attributes. The size and the damage type are chosen. The golem is animated for 1 hour until it is reduced to 0 hit points or until you die. You may only animate 1 golem in this way. If you use this feature again, any golem you already have summoned will be destroyed. Because the golem is an extension of your will, it is completely loyal to you, and you can use this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. So very cool, creating your own little golem. And I'm just reading parts of it. There's a lot more text there. I'm just being brief for the purposes of the video here. So then let's see here. Death Burst. Beginning at 5th level, your golems detonate upon death. When your golem drops to 0 hit points, you can use your reaction to cause it to explode. So it can be a violent burst, a forceful burst, petrifying, or benign. And so with the violent burst, every creature in a 10-foot radius must make a dex saving throw. Any creature that fails takes damage equal to the golem's near strike damage. And then under Petrifying Burst, the golem solidifies into a pillar that takes up its space. The space is 10 feet tall and has a cubic base equal to its size category, and then it has an AC. You can kind of make it like a shield or some cover for yourself. And yeah, just lots of fun stuff in here. It says Unified Symbiosis beginning at 18th level. If you have at least 1 golem animated with more than 0 hit points, you gain +2 AC bonus. This bonus ends as soon as you have no more animated golems with more than 0 hit points. So at some point, you're able to generate more. More than 1 golem. So very cool. And it looks like you can change the sizes to huge or tiny eventually as well. So that's fun. And then they have Fields of Study as the subclasses. So you have one called Fields of Elemental or Field of Elementals here. So seems really cool. Golems are always, I think, an interesting creature in fantasy games. So I think you could have a lot of fun dealing with golems. I mean, if you think about Frankenstein's kind of a golem. So they have a long history of being in fantasy, and I think it's just a lot of opportunity with this class. So check it out under Golemist in the links below and give it a click. Guns and Gunners is the next title. It says expanded rules for firearm combat and 12 new gunslinging subclasses by J. Gabriel Ronkainen. And it is $1 on pay what you want suggested price for 57 pages. So that's a lot of pages for just $1. It says Guns and Gunners contains expanded rules for firearm combat Within this book, you'll find statistics for more than 50 types of firearms and explosive, rules for more tactical firearm combat, and 12 new subclasses. And it says one for each of the player's handbook ones. So a bunch of them are listed here. These rules are ideally meant for new self-contained campaigns, as the power levels for firearm combat are higher and the combat is more deadly. The book contains suggestions on how to adapt it for existing settings and campaigns, but the probability of explosive failure is significant. So, yeah, interesting. And I was watching a video last night, the new Mordenkainen's book. Seems like we're heading in towards a direction in 5th edition of more and more powerful. So this might not be too bad to have something that increases power. We'll see. All right, so here you get to see the entire book. Again, very generous, and 57 pages is just so much. I think that's just such a steal for this price. I'm really amazed that the price is so low. But very kind of the author to do that. And so you've got, looks like some spells in here, all kinds of information on different explosives, and yeah, just all kinds of stuff going on. I really think it's pretty thorough here. I mean, I don't think I've seen another book with this much on firearms, at least on DM's Guild. So yeah, so you got the Barbarian, Path of the Gunbarian, and College of the Maverick for the Bard, and you've got the Chaplain Domain, Circle of the Gamekeepers. So yeah, some fun looking and sounding subclasses. And let's see if we can read about some of the different firearms, etc., because they've got new mechanics in here. They even have where it could jam, or there could be an explosive failure. So that's pretty cool that they've gone into the, sort of the crit failure area as well. They got special firearms like a flamethrower, grenade launcher. So this might even be helpful for like modern games as well. Attachments and modifications, trench warfare, using explosives, disarming an explosive. So explosive failure. Each time you use an explosive device, you run the risk of it exploding in your hand. When you make a handling check, see if the roll on the d20 matches the listed results for the explosive failure. You must roll a d20 even if using the explosive doesn't require a handling check. So, cool. And there's these explosive failures. It says on a 1 or a 2, the explosive device immediately detonates. On a 3 or a 4, the explosive device immediately partially detonates, dealing half damage. And 5 or 6, the detonator is a dud. So, dud explosive can be repaired as an action. So that's good. And then got combined explosive, grenades. I mean, this is really thorough. So much information here to absorb and incorporate into your campaign. We've got armor, strike options like smoke marker, smoke screen, heavy ordnance, and then looks like, yeah, these are all almost like spells. Very cool. So let's look at Mark of Judgment. It says first level divination, casting time 1, bonus action, concentration up to 1 minute. You choose a creature you can see within range and subject it to divine judgment. A gruesome brand appears on their skin, and until the spell ends, attacks against that creature have their critical range increased by +1, and next time they are struck by a critical hit, they take 1d8 radiant or necrotic damage, your choice, on top of the attack's damage. Then the spell ends. And then there's upcasting, so it increases those numbers. Yeah, lots of fun, lots of interesting stuff in here, and I just am astonished at the price. I think it's a steal for $1. But of course you can choose to pay more for these 57 pages. So check it out under Guns and Gunners in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Karaikarai and Trenntrenn, the Twin Serpents of Lopango by John Hild. It's free. 8 pages. It says, far to the west of Faerun, in the Forgotten Realms world of Toril, lies the continent of Maztica. To the south of Maztica is the virtually unknown portion of the true world called Lopango. Though some know it as a land of the fire, its native peoples call it the land of the sacred sun. Like Faerun, it is a land of myths and legends come to life. The story of Karaikarai and Trenntrenn is one of these legends. Two serpents, one of water and the other of stone and fire, have slept for eons. Long ago, after a titanic flood, they battled at the command of a god of the sun. Their awakening caused death of untold proportions, so why then now would some desire to awaken one of the twin serpents? This book is the first in a planned series of adventures, supplements, and articles for the Lopango setting in the Forgotten Realms. So, and that's why it's got the LPM1 in front of the title. And looking down here, I mean, this is the first time I think we've had anything from Maztica on this series of coverage, because we weren't always doing this series, you know, since the DMs Guild's been around. So it looks like there's a bunch of Maztica stuff from this author in Ancrame and other Lopango and planner stuff. So it looks really nice, fun. So you might explore some of these other things after you click the link as well. But it's exciting. I mean, I remember Maztica from earlier editions, and, you know, they've really stuck to the Sword Coast for the most part with the official 5th edition releases. So it's always nice to see people taking it further. You know, we've had things that go into the detail on the Harpers or little bits of Karatur here and there. And you know, we're starting to get quite a few supplements that are detailing other parts of the Forgotten Realms, because it just seems like it may be a while before Wizards gets there. So I think it's fun. Let's take a look inside. So some fun artwork for the two giant serpents, and then you've got the intro and the cult of the serpent, using the cult. So you're getting to see pretty much the whole book here. You got your stat blocks. These are CR21. And then you get details on each of them. And then the cult. It's cool that there's a whole cult as well. So let's read a little bit about using the cult. The cult of the stone serpent's main goal is first and foremost to find the resting place of Trenntrenn, then to awaken the snake, and finally to convince it to attack the enemies of Natakan. These enemies include most of the other races of Lopango, though the cultists are unsure if the serpent could ever be convinced to attack the Giant Kings. In their historical records, Trenntrenn came to the aid of the Giant Kings exactly as he had for the Natakan. Would not the stone serpent still be unwilling to assault those he once saved? And it says each of the cult's goals are ideally suited for different tiers of gameplay. As 1st to 4th level characters, the PCs might actually be fooled into working for the cult. Citing a looming threat, cultists might ask the PCs with finding magic that can either locate or help to awaken Trenntrenn. So yeah, that'd be a fun little hook. And brother against brother, should Karaikarai and Trenntrenn meet again, they will battle to the death this time, regardless of the number of days such a battle will take to conclude. The twin serpents despise each other, a rivalry born not of jealousy or retribution, but simply of their nature. It says, in battle they will remain near shoreline, giving neither serpent an advantage in movement as earth, water, and fire mix in a miasma of destruction. In such a circumstance, they would hardly notice the world as it goes on around them, killing all in the way, destroying settlements, and even setting the world around them into upheaval. Should one be declared victories on the corpse of its brother, it will continue its rampage until it too is put down. So very cool. Yeah, I think this is a lot of fun. I'm excited that, again, people are expanding Forgotten Realms for us, and you can find it in the links below under LPM1, Karaikarai, and Trenntrenn. Give it a click. Check it out. Next we have Monster Loot, Strixhaven, A Curriculum of Chaos by Anne Gregerson, and it's $2.95 for 30 pages, and this is part of a series of books that Anne does on the Monster Loot, which is where Anne goes and analyzes the books from Wizards of the Coast, like the Strixhaven Curriculum of Chaos, and says, okay, here's all these monsters in this new book. Well, what would I find if I happen to slay one of them, or I just happen upon one of their corpses? What would be there? Or, you know, what can I do with this, you know, in my presence here? So it says, when brave adventurers face the dangers of the world, they want something to show for it. The supplement provides individual loot for each monster in the Strixhaven book, as well as basic crafting and harvesting system. With this supplement, these brave adventurers will be able to craft the hide, teeth, and claws of their enemies into dangerous weapons and equipment that is sure to mark them as legendary heroes. And then we've got some examples of loot here. So you've got the Brackish Trudge. It's got 1d2 Brackish Trudge tusks that can be crafted into a maul, which costs 10 GP and takes 2 days. Or there's 2d4 Brackish Trudge mushrooms. When consumed, if damage reduces you to 0 hit points, you must make a con saving throw with a DC of 5 plus the damage taken, unless the damage is radiant or from a critical hit. On a success, you drop to 1 hit point instead. This effect lasts for 1 minute. So very fun, and there's a whole series, and like I said, Anne has covered a lot of these books. So if you're looking for a particular book that you want the loot for, it's sure to be in here. And then of course there's Fantasy Ground versions as well. So lots on offer. But let's look at the interior. So it goes through how to use it, then it goes through all the monsters in Strixhaven, and then some additional monsters from the monster manual. So that's helpful as well, because these are probably ones that are referenced in the Strixhaven book. So it's nice that Anne is doing that, putting them all in one place for you. So you just really need this book, your monster manual, and your Strixhaven book, and then you have everything you need to give everybody this awesome loot. And so you've got all this information about how to check for harvesting and harvest time, and then the types of loot that you can find. And then here are some of the loot listings for the individual things that you're going to encounter. So let's look at one of these. So we've got the Beledros Witherbloom. So we're not going to read all of them, but we'll just read a couple here. It says 1 gland of decay. As an action, you can throw this gland up to 30 feet away where it explodes in a cloud of gas. Each creature within 20 feet of where the gland landed must succeed on a DC 22 con saving throw, taking necrotic damage and poison damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful one. Creature that takes damage from the exploding gland can't regain hit points until the start of your next turn. The gland is fragile and will burst after 3d6 hours after harvesting, and regardless of whether it was thrown or not. So very nice. Flavorful way of dealing with this gland from the Beledros. And there's also Wings of Beledros. 1 wing can be crafted into a resistant cloak for 1000 GP, and it takes 30 days, requires attunement. When worn, you have resistance to poison damage. So very nice. Yeah, this is really fun. And as always, these books I think are really helpful, because you're going to have those players say, well, we killed it, what can we do with it now? You know, and since Anne has covered all the books, you really could have this ready for any monster that you might encounter, and these prices are really reasonable. I mean, $2.95 for 30 pages, and you get all these monsters detailed, all their loot. It's just ready to go, organized, and a whole system for harvesting and crafting. So it's just waiting for you to check it out in the links below under Monster Loot, Strixhaven, A Curriculum of Chaos. Give it a click. Next, we have Monsters of the North by Lair of Dragons for $1.99 for 11 pages. It says, biting winds descend upon you. Snow falls in sheets, and chill makes your very bones shiver. Then suddenly, somewhere on the wind, you hear deep animalistic howl. The frozen north is crawling with all manner of beasts, monsters of all sorts of intelligence and physical prowess. The supplement contains 10 brand new monsters, all with detailed art, stat blocks, and lore to go along with them. Evade hordes of yappy beasts, and the cunning ice cliff predators. Commune with the wise Wadakaroth and unlock the mysteries of the Pasrelek. All of this and more in Monsters of the North. So you get to see 2 pages, including the full ice cliff predator, which with some fun artwork there. Sly and vicious, the ice cliff predator stalks the frigid wilds, hunting after any creature unfortunate enough to be detected by it. Ice cliff predators find their homes in snowy mountains, lairing in caves and stony crevices. These reptilians are bound in muscles and hard scales, and are extremely tactically sound. Told in quiet tones in frost-covered taverns, stories about ice cliff predators stir fear in the hearts of the strongest frontiersmen. As the saying goes, nothing is colder than an ice cliff's fang. So this could work really well in like a Rime of the Frost Maiden situation, or any kind of Arctic setting, or even, you know, maybe a plane of ice. So yeah, that's fun. It's got information on its competitive nature here. It's a CR5, and yeah, I like the artwork. I think it looks like it could be a really cool creature. And this is this whole book has, these kind of Arctic style creatures because they're monsters of the north. So I think you should check it out and get some more monsters for your campaign by looking for Monsters of the North in the links below and giving it a click. Next, we have On Locks and Lockpicking. It's by Furbolg Factory with the suggested price of $1 on Pay What You Want for 16 pages. It says it's intended for both players and dungeon masters to lay out the rules and additional considerations for lockpicking, as well as to provide additional items such as mundane and magical locks, lockpicking tools, and spell options. So there's a summary of the official rules, unofficial rules, and a few homebrew rules. And then there's several mundane and magical locks. And then tools, spells, and says Waterdeep, while every city of size likely has locksmiths, this provides details on the City of Splendor's locksmith guild and its most famous lock merchant. So that's helpful. If you're going to introduce these rules on lockpicking, it'd be good to have a merchant and a guild related to it to explore as well. So let's look inside. All 16 pages are on display, so you can fully investigate this title, see if it's going to fit for your table. And wow, they've got some cool items in here, little images of all the locks. Yeah, looks like some fun items like Lock of Many Faces, Lock of Cages, Lock of Etherealness. And you've got your tools, your Thieves' Tools, Masterwork Thief Tools, Improvised Thieves' Tools. And then you've got a Chime of Opening, Master Key, Mystery Key, Spells, Arcane Lock, Guidance, Knock, Waterdeep, and then your map and all this stuff. It's so cool. Really fun. I love keys and locks. In my Van Richten's Libram of Lineage book, created a lineage called the Keykeeper. And basically when you take that lineage, or it's thrust upon you, you end up with a key that is connected to your soul, and if something happens to the key, you die, basically. So you have to keep an eye on the key, and so fits very well with this book because all the locks in here and the different keys, you could incorporate that with a keykeeper in your campaign. But I'm liking the detail. I think this is really fun. Somebody's obviously put a lot of time into researching all this stuff. So let's look for some stuff that we can read for you. But you've got all your locks, and it talks about the weight of them. And look at these diagrams for you, combination locks, etc. And then an arcane mastery lock. So this is all about some magic locks have a triggered event. So we'll read some of these. Lock of Many Faces. This fanciful lock is fashioned so that its front surface forms a human face, with its mouth as the lock's keyhole. The face functions differently depending on the type of lock. And then there's a triggered event on it. If anything but the proper key is inserted into the keyhole, the lock triggers its event, which is unique to the lock. The Riddler. There are no tumblers or any pickable objects inside the keyhole. When any object is inserted, the lock's face animates, and a sly but jovial voice speaks a riddle. If the riddle is answered correctly, the magical energy field vanishes and the lock snaps open. Subsequent attempts to bypass the magical field cause the riddle to be repeated. And then another type is the Shearer. When any object other than the appropriate key enters its keyhole, the lock's face animates, its mouth clamping down on the intruding object, shearing off the portion of the instrument that entered the keyhole. Immediately thereafter, the mouth performs a chewing option, and shortly after that, the sheared piece of the object, mangled and ruined, is spat out onto the floor. Once this routine has been complete, the lock's face resumes visage until the next object is placed in his mouth. That's fun, right? And that's just two of them. There's also the Screamer, so you can only imagine how fun that one is. And then you got the Lock of Curses, Lock of Etherealness, Lock of Exploding, Lock of Elemental Guardians, Petrification, Shadow. I mean, just a ton of fun ones. And then you've even got different styles of thieves kits, so you can improve those. You could have your character start with thieves tools, from Player's Handbook or Xanathar's Guide, and then work their way to Masterwork Thieves Tools. Or if they lose it, maybe have them deal with the improvised ones. And then you've got things like the Chime of Opening here, Master Key. So let's read about these keys here. The master key. This one has 3 charges. While holding it, you can use an action to expend one of its charges to open most mundane standard locks on contact, if they are not trapped. If it encounters mechanical or magical traps on a lock, it reveals this to the wielder without triggering them, but does not open the lock or deactivate the traps. And then it regains all expended charges daily. Very cool. That's a fun, useful item. And again, ties into little locks because it's a key, right? So yeah, you could have a key-themed campaign in locks even. And then down here you've got your guilds and a store called the Golden Key. And it says the Splendid Order of Armorers, Locksmiths, and Finesmiths. So yeah, very fun with a map of Waterdeep. I like this a lot. I think it could be a lot of fun for people. And if you're a rogue or a thief, I think you should check it out and look for it in the links below as on Locks and Lockpicking. Give it a click. Next, we have the Primal Warrior by Pedro Filippo. It's a new fighter subclass. It's $1.95 for 3 pages. It says, fight atop tall trees with the knowledge in combat you got observing all the beasts of the land. Show how much of a ferocious fighter you are with this new subclass. It says the Primal Warrior is a fighter that learned how to defend themselves observing nature, learning how a tiger uses its claws, how an elephant gives an aura of old wisdom, and how the lion imposes himself with its mighty roar. Many follow the old rites of their tribes, while others make their own rites based on what they have observed and learned in their life. Very fun. And it's part of a bundle. You can get several subclasses in a bundle here. It looks like 4 different ones. And so if you click the link Primal Warrior in the video description, it'll take you here to look at the bundle as well. Just something to consider as you're looking at this title. So yeah, it looks like some nice layout. We don't have a full preview, so we can't read much of the interior for you, but Pedro's titles are usually well written and fun, and like I said, there's a whole bundle of them down here for you. So check it out under Primal Warrior in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Sanctuary of Kithanis, an adventure by R.P. Davis, $3.95 for 19 pages. It says, centuries ago, priests of Kithanis established a popular rest stop for pilgrims. As was distressingly common for frontier areas, the place's prosperity attracted the attention of outlaws looking for quick cash. And a century ago, a large force of out-of-work mercenaries overran the sanctuary's defenses and sacked the place, killing, burning, and looting. While the bandits were still in deep debauchery, a force sent by the Duke arrived and ran the mercenaries off, ending the mayhem. The priests and monks were all dead, and the sanctuary mostly burned. Now the villagers all believe the temple is haunted by hordes of the restless dead. Recently, thanks to lavish gifts from the aristocracy, the hierarchs decided to reopen the shrine and begin rebuilding the religious community. The trouble is, another gang of lawless bandits has taken up residence in the shrine's ruins. So this is where the adventurers are needed. And it says for 4 to 6 low-level characters, optimized for 3rd level. It says a good aligned cleric is certainly helpful, but not necessary to the adventure. So let's look inside. So you get to see 10 of the 19 pages, so that's a sizable amount. So you got your background, setup, maps, that's a nice map, and then areas are labeled and described for you, so very helpful. And then various areas like the stables, the crypts, etc., with flavor text and information. So I like it a lot. Let's look here at a good spot to read some stuff for you. So let's read the arrival. This is when adventurers come within sight of the temple. Read or paraphrase the following. The temple is as run down as a century of neglect would predict. Cracks have appeared in the shrine's foundation. Portions of the walls have crumbled, leaving gaping holes, and most of what remains is overgrown with vines and weeds. Set into the north face of the main building are 2 wooden doors that hang on rusty hinges. The doors might once have been painted yellow, but most of the paint has flaked off. So what they see depends on how they approach, and then it talks about the various things that they can see as they approach. And then you've got all kinds of details on the setting, each labeled point, and then Down here, let's read a little bit about Area 18, the graves. Niches cut into the stone on either side of the long hallway hold ancient bones. Some are still articulated skeletons held together with strips of rotting cloth. The rest are simply piles of disarticulated bones. Some nice little moody flavor text box. Yeah, lots of fun stuff in here. If you're looking for like a temple to explore and, you know, a nice backstory. I like the backstory of how it became haunted, then this could be a really fun adventure for you. So look for it under Sanctuary of Kithanis in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Spellburst, Magic Surge Mechanics Revisited by Chris Valentine. And it's $1.99 for 15 pages. It says, these new rules help add chaos to your game and give more opportunity to trigger unleashed magic for benefit or detriment. There are items that trigger surges, creatures that unleash them, and tables that cater the surges to their particular school of magic. Inside, you'll find tables, a surge table per school of magic, magic schools table, whimsical backlash table, and then there's new creatures and new magic items related to magic surges, and then new methods to trigger them as well. So, fun. Let's take a look inside. So you get to see 7 of those 15 pages. So it talks about magic, unexpected results, what causes surges, ways to trigger surges, and then when does the surge occur, and then optional rules like snake eyes, which school, enjoy the chaos, and then you've got your schools of magic list, and then the whimsical backlash, and then different surges based on the school of magic, which is a fun idea. So let's read about the whimsical backlash first, and then we'll read something else as well. In addition to the magical energy misfiring, physical changes can occur at the location of the surge. These rapid alterations are usually aesthetic, but leave a lasting impression. During instances when a physical consequence is deemed necessary, you can roll on the whimsical backlash table to discover what those might be. This can occur in lieu of or in addition to the results of the magic surge tables. Whimsical backlashes typically resolve themselves within a few hours or a few days. Sometimes they are permanent until undone. So you've got things like your hair falls out, it regrows at its normal rate, your hair changes to a random color, new horns grow on your head, your tongue doubles in length and is forked, your eyes turn bright red, etc. So those are whimsical backlashes. So it says ways to trigger surges. There are many events that can cause a surge of magical energy. Selecting which ones can determine how magically chaotic you wish your campaign to be. Select as many as you like, but be consistent in your game and how magic works. So, concentration loss, a creature unwillingly loses concentration on a spell. Of course, a wild magic sorcerer can trigger it. Scroll backfire, creature attempts to read a scroll requiring an arcana check but fails. Last charge of a magical item. In addition to a magical item ceasing to be magical after it was expended, its last charge of magic surge is triggered. You've got breaking magic items, death of a magical creature, casting while exhausted, reading an arcane script, or just any reason you want to come up with. And then it talks about when the surge occurs, and then here's some optional rules like snake eyes whenever the dice land on the same value, like a 0-0, and a 0, or a 1 and a 1, etc. You can roll in the whimsical backlash for those effects. And then it says which school by default a surge occurs in the same school as the spell being cast. However, you can choose an effect from the opposing school, neighboring school, or a random school. And then it's got kind of maps those out. Whichever method you choose, be consistent and enjoy the chaos you've incorporated into your campaign. Magic surges are a fun way to add some unpredictability to your game and create colorful misadventures at the same time. So yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. I like the layout, and the ideas in here are cool. So if you want to add some unpredictability, look for Spellburst in the links below and give it a click. Next we have the Trophy Hunter. It's a new class by Tyler Joseph Rossi, and it's a suggested price of $3 on Pay What You Want for 11 pages. It says creatures of all kinds walk the earth. Knowing how to defend yourself against them is one thing, but what to do with them when they're dead? Leave the corpse, cook it, and eat it? Those that know how to make the best of their kills are known plainly as trophy hunters. Their quarry knows well to fear them. So it's a martial class, and you get 3 subclasses with it, as well as 4 new spells and 30 trophies to use to enhance your prowess on that battlefield. It says trophy hunting as a profession is an oddity, one which is often misunderstood, where a common monster hunter is after the bounty of a kill. Those that wear the emblem of a trophy hunter know that the power the quarry provides them is more valuable than any sack of gold. So the Bloody Rager trophy hunters are some of the most dangerous and are shunned from most societies. They are known to eat their quarry to gain even more power, even humanoids. Some don't even wait to cook their prey, preferring instead to have their feast right in the thick of battle. And then you've got the Cryptid Blacksmith. Those that belong to the Cryptid Blacksmith's profession can just turn about anything they find into armaments. And then the Grafter. Grafting is a forbidden art, a form of experimentation looked down upon in most circles. Grafters see creatures as a way forward for evolution. So very fun, different subclass ideas there. So let's look inside to get to see 3 of those 11 pages. So some nice artwork. Here's information on the class, the fighting style. And since this is a trophy hunter and it's going to be harvesting things, you could also work with the Anne Gregerson series that we looked at earlier, the Monster Loot series, because that has some harvesting mechanics and lots of loot options. So if you're playing a class that's going to kind of take things from the bodies, you could incorporate that and kind of have a whole campaign. So I think these books will work well together. And I always like to point out, when we talk about third-party books on this channel, that work well with other books, because then we're increasing the value you get out of your books that you purchase. Or you can build campaigns by taking books and combining them together, and just really extending that value and making something special. I think a campaign all around trophy hunter class and monster loot from the Anne Gregerson series could be a really fun experience. And even if you don't always have these things in your campaigns, you could do that once with your table and see how they like it, and then keep the parts they like, right? So really fun. So let's see what we've got going on in here. So we don't get to see the whole class, so we're just going to read a little bit. It says you adopt a particular style of fighting as your specialty. Choose one of the following options. You can't take a fighting style option more than once, even if you later get to choose again. So you've got things like archery, blind fighting, defense, dueling, great weapon fighting, protection, thrown weapon fighting, 2-weapon, unarmed, and close quarters shooter. So looking at blind fighting, it says you have blind sight within a range of 10 feet. Within that range, you effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you're blinded or in darkness. Moreover, you can see invisible creature within that range unless the creature successfully hides from you. So that'd be a powerful, helpful ability, looking for invisible creatures. But yeah, this looks really nice. I like the artwork throughout. And I think it could be really fun, especially at Pay What You Want. Because remember, with Pay What You Want, you can pay $0 and then download the whole book, look at it, and then if you decide you like it and are actually going to use it, you should come back in here and then buy it again, but actually put a value in there. So certainly always encourage you to put a value in anyway, because we need to support and encourage these creators. But if you don't have a lot of funds and you want to make sure you're spending your money wisely, that's one way to check these titles out, and then go in and put the money in where you're going to use it. So check it out under Trophy Hunter in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got What Happens Under the Oak Tree, a Strixhaven Christmas Carol by Rodarin Press, $2.95 for 20 pages. And it's starring first-year students staying at the Strixhaven campus during the winter break. As a peaceful winter holiday is interrupted by an attack on the Strixhaven campus, a band of students must prove their worth and be the heroes their peers will look up to. Use this as a standalone tale or implement it in a larger campaign as the characters ascend to become bright stars among the community. Includes adventures for Tier 1 gaming groups, detailing locations, descriptions, and creatures, and a few sessions that explore the world of Archivos. I don't know how to say it. I think it's Arcavios, maybe? I'm not sure. Anyway, so let's look inside. So, fun title, referencing a movie. It's got 3 pages here out of the 20 that you can see. So it says, tracking the spirit. When the adventurers exit the feast hall, read. The snowy expanse of the Archway Commons extends in front of you, with the vegetation and fountains standing out like pinnacles of ice above the ground. If the party has done so, right after the spirit left, you may add, a cloud of spinning icicles and snowflakes swirl wildly about 100 feet in front of you, carving a pathway amidst the geometric bushes of the commons. And so it talks about chasing the spirit and then investigating the abandoned hunting grounds. And then there's a snowstorm down here. Yeah, this looks like a fun little Christmassy, wintry themed adventure for Strixhaven. I know a lot of people are exploring Strixhaven. So even though it's not Christmas time in real life, that doesn't mean it can't be Christmas time or winter, you know, some sort of winter holiday in the game timeline. So don't let the fact that it's not Christmas time stop you from exploring what happens under the oak tree, and those links in the video description. Give it a click. Next, we have The Woodsman of Wintermere, a melancholic mystery about marauding Memoria, and it's by Scott A. Cooney, and it's $1.99 for 30 pages. As Wintermere Wood undergoes spring thaw, something stirs to life. Familiar faces have resurfaced in town after a long winter, but there's something different about them, something mannered, something odd, something wooden. But what could be more terrifying than the mystery of how these things came to be is finding out what's become of the people they once were. It's a one-shot adventure. It takes place over 6 hours with a party of 3 to 5 fifth-level adventurers, and it draws lore from Forgotten Realms and Greyhawk, but is generally agnostic to its location. So you get to see 8 of those 30 pages with some interesting artwork in here. I like this with the bugs crawling all over it on this tree. Looks cool. And then here you got your synopsis, the adventure's broken out into different parts, and then magic items, maps, stat blocks, etc. And you got your adventure outline, adventure hooks, seeds of mystery. Yeah, it looks very well laid out, easy to read, and got a decent amount of art. So let's read a few of the hooks here. Buzz about town. Players are contracted to investigate an incident at the market. There, a merchant complains about a man made of wood paying for goods with fake coinage. After investigating the wooden man, players are compelled to seek out his origins by the constable. And then you've got grounded in grief. After a nobleman's daughter went missing, she suddenly returns to the manor in an altered state. The nobleman has become too belligerent to keep conducting town business and demands players discover the source of his daughter's strange transformation. And then you've got creature cart conflicts. Travelers to town have reported that their carts are being ambushed by creatures. Players are asked to investigate these incidents when the victims all describe beasts like living trees. Evidence at the scene points to a creature's origins somewhere in the woods. So I like this. It's got a really fun feel to it. It makes me want to know, why are these people becoming so wooden? What's happening with them? So I think you should explore it and find out the answers by clicking the link in the video description for The Woodsman of Wintermere and checking it out. Well, that's our last DM's Guild title for this week. We're going to move on to DriveThruRPG, but before we do, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video, share it with friends, leave us a comment. I will respond to all comments, and definitely make sure you follow me on Twitter at Splinterverse. I'm going to be talking about our Kickstarter that we're going to be doing this year with this really fun idea for a book that I cannot wait to reveal, but it's under wraps for now. But trust that I'm writing every day on it, and it is exciting. I'm about to burst. So I can't wait to be able to talk about it. So you got to be following me on Twitter so you can find out when that's ready to be revealed. And also, take a look at all those links in the video description. We've got so many great titles this week. We've already talked about a lot more we're going to talk about in this episode. Be sure to be clicking those, purchasing those books, supporting these creators. And if you click any of those links and make any kind of purchase, a small percentage comes back to help support the channel as well, and I really appreciate that. And if you want to go even further, we've got 5 books that Splinterverse Media released in 2021 listed there in the video description as well. We've got Potions Unlocked, which is over 100 pages of potion fun in print or digital. We've got Feywild Companion, over 150 pages of Fey stuff with a new domain of delight, spells, subclasses, adventures, encounters, just tons of things. You have to check out the page just to see all the great stuff inside. Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets with dragon-themed subclasses for every single class. We've got horde magic items, draconic gifts, a familiar, spells, all sorts of dragon fun in there. We've got Secrets of the Draugr, which is a brand new race that combines elements of the Duergar and the Drow has new deities, has subclasses, has a fortune-telling method, so it's a lot of fun. And then there's Van Richten's Libram of Lineages, which really helps you bring lineages fully into your game. It has 4 unique lineages. If you like the ones in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, you're going to love these because they are similar and that they are cases where something has happened to your character, and it really gives you that conflict that you can build upon as you play that character through the campaign. And it also talks about how you can string lineages together and have a character start as one lineage and become another. So you definitely want to discover that, and it works for any setting. So check those out in the links in the video description. Now let's go over to DriveThruRPG. Our first drive-through title is 40 by 30 battle map, The Ringed City, from Seafoot Games, and it's $2.98, and you get all of this fun map stuff, including A4 versions, gridded, ungridded, VTT, 72 DPI, 300 DPI, adventure prompts, etc. But I mean, look at this cool architecture here for this ringed city. And it says here, spiked metal and stone buildings comprise this city. Paver and gravel roads and walkways twine around them, some partially overgrown with wildflowers. Storage crates and barrels are stacked neatly, ready for markets and trade. With this map and its detailed one-shot adventure, you'll save so much time as you prepare for a fun session. The battle map comes ready for both VTTs and easy home printing, so you can use it no matter how you prepare. So I like that they're thinking that you might want to print it as well as use it in a VTT. So you've got 14 pages here in the preview. There's 28 total. So you got the map overview. The patrons that are involved are listed. And then you can see some more zoom in on some of the maps here. Looks really fun. So yeah, you could print this and put them side by side. But I love the detail. I mean, you see like the little sort of foliage here on the edges, and the stonework and the barrel tops and some barrels on their side. I just think it's really cool looking, and it's nice that it comes with an adventure. A lot of times you buy a map and that's it. You just get the map, or you get the adventure and no map, right? And so it's nice that you get both together here, and it looks really well designed and made, and I like the variations that are available in terms of resolution and grid. So that really flexible for you. And $2.98 is a good deal. A lot of these maps like this are more expensive. So I think you should look for it under 40 by 30 battle map in the links below and give it a click. Next we have 5 Inns and Tavern Maps from Map Alchemist. And it says it's on sale for $11.95, normally $24.95. And it says, tired of using the same inn again and again? Your players are moving from one area to another often. Well, what you need in almost every game is an inn or a tavern for your adventurers to rest and maybe find new rumors and quests. In this volume 2, you will find 5 inns with amazing details, ready for print in 300 DPI or lower resolution for VTT. The maps comes with and without grids. And one on the end comes with the day and night version, and filled also with an empty day version that you can fill yourself. And looking at this, I mean, so many different things that you can put on the map. So you can see it's empty, and then you can put the tokens on there to decide, okay, is this a brand new inn that hasn't been stocked yet, that just got built? I mean, you can have an adventure like that, right? Oh, we just built that and there's already a ghost in there. You need to go get this ghost out of there so we can move our furniture in, right? And then you've got sort of night versions with things filled in already. But you could put all of these things in there. You could probably use tokens from other map sets as well, other providers, to just keep mixing it up and making the ends a little different each time. But I like how detailed these are. Got a little campfire. So yeah, it looks like a lot of fun and helpful. I mean, you always need ends, you always need taverns. So yeah, this could be really, really helpful. And you can find it in the video description links under 5 Inns and Tavern Maps. So give it a click. Next we have additional companions. It says over 40 extra companions for the companion rules by Ninkovic Games, $4.99 for 48 pages. And it says 40 new companions, from a baby Taras to the polar bear. All the companions you'd want to join your party are here, including Black Pudding, Ghost, Giant Bat, Giant Duck, Giant Seahorse, Baby Hydra, Mammoth, Shambling Mound. You can never have enough ducks. I think ducks are adorable, and everybody likes ducks, I think. If you don't like ducks, let me know in the comments. Most people I know like them. Anyway, you get to see some of the pages here, and you've got Polar Beast Companion, a Griffin Companion, a Caroler Companion, an Axbeak Companion, and look at how adorable the artwork is. And then even a Zombie Companion. So, it's fun. Yeah, I love zombies too. Alright, so you've got Polar Bear Companion up here with all their information. They have a Mystic Connection. The caretaker gains resistance to cold damage and the bear's keen smell trait, which is the bear has advantage on wisdom perception checks that rely on smell. Very nice. And then the Griffin Companion, your Mystic Connection is the caretaker's walking speed and the Griffin's flying speed increased by 10. So you're helping each other with that. This Caroler is so cute. And then Axbeak, the Mystic Connection is any creature the caretaker rides has their walking speed increased by 10 feet during this time. And the Zombie, the caretaker gains the benefit of the zombie's already dead trait, which, let's see, it says the zombie automatically succeeds all death saving throws unless its head is destroyed. So very interesting. Yeah, I like this. I like the artwork. I like the ideas, and I like that there's so many for $4.99. You almost get 50 pages worth of companions. So if you're looking for some fun companion stuff to add to your game, look for additional companions in the video description links and give it a click. Next, we've got Ancient Suns, a science fantasy built on 5th edition. It says this book provides players and game masters with enough material to run a science fiction campaign using the rules of 5th edition. It's from Dawn Laser Games for $10 for 76 pages. And you need the basic rules to, of course, play. It says new rules, classes, species, and backgrounds so that you and your friends can start playing a campaign set in the compact worlds. That being said, with little work, these classes could be used in other role-playing settings or even other systems. And you use the standard 5e rules for character creation. And then they have a little video here you can watch all about it as well. I encourage you to watch that. And let's take a look inside. So you get to see 9 of those 76 pages. So the species, some of the names are Krajcha, humans, Jantek, Talshan, and then classes you have Diplomat, Initiate, Psionicist, Mercenary, and Spacer. And then you've got backgrounds, skills, equipment, and starships, feats, and other customization options, new rules, psionics, and a swift overview of the settings. So here's your intro, and then your species, and then here's the Krajcha, which is fun. Looks really cool, like a little crow race or something. And then you got the Farron, and they're very cat-like. So let's read a little bit about the Karacha here. The Karacha developed on a low-gravity planet with significant winds. They settled in sandstone spires and only came down to the rocky surface of their home planet to hunt and gather. The Karacha are highly social and are fascinated by fashion and self-care. Compared to other species, they are somewhat self-centered, but despite this, are very good at getting others to empathize with them. Many within their society have latent psionic abilities, and they have developed a highly sophisticated training program for them. The Karacha are feathered and wings extend down from their arms. These wings are not powerful enough for true flight, but the Karacha excel at gliding. So you've got a speed of 35 feet, and then they can spread their wings when falling to glide. They reduce all falling damage, totaling more than 3d6 to 3d6. Also on low gravity planets, they have limited flight. On planets that are 0.5 Earth gravity or less, they have a fly speed of 20 feet. And then convincing, Karacha have a way with words and speak quickly yet convincingly. Once per day, Karacha may take advantage on a persuasion or deception check. And then ritualistic combat, Karacha often settles disputes through ritualistic duels. All Karacha are proficient with the Karacha dueling staff and Karacha dueling talons. When using Karacha dueling talons, they are considered to have 2 weapon fighting feat, even if they do not. So fun stuff for these little crow people. And yeah, it seems like you could transfer these pretty easily to the fantasy setting too. They don't have to be sci-fi, but it's nice that you can get a whole sci-fi world for $10 and use your 5th edition rules for most things. So I think you should check it out in the video description links under Ancient Suns and give it a click. Next we have Archivist Bounty, the TBM Games 2021 anthology by Christopher Knapp, and it's $35.99 for 5th edition, 48 pages. It says it's pulling together all of the 25 PDF articles released by TBM Games into a single volume in 2021. Archivist Bounty brings more than 20 new subclasses, ranging from exiled noble barbarians to adaptive wizards who can destruct magic at its most fundamental principles, along with 2 ancient artifacts, a selection of character feats, chronomantic spells, and monsters for underwater adventuring. So that all sounds really fun. You've got new background for building characters with Fey origins, feats to enhance existing characters, spells to add a new variety to spellcasting characters, 2 new artifacts, the body of the armored tyrant and the death shroud of the first paladin, and 3 new aquatic monsters. So lots and lots of fun to be had inside of this. And we get to see 6 of those 48 pages. So you've got all your subclasses, but actually I should zoom in here so you can read some of these. Path of the Exiled. You've got the Commerce Domain, the Fate Domain. You've got Iron Knight, Mountebank, and the Dragonbond, Warlock Patron. You've got Krampus, the Magpie as Warlock Patrons as well. Yeah, just some fun stuff. Spells, artifacts, and equipment. So yeah, let's scroll through here and see what we want to read, but I'm loving the artwork and the layout. I mean, it looks like they've spent a lot of time putting this together. College of Conspiracy, that sounds like a really cool idea. Whether or not the College of Conspiracy exists is the subject of heated scholarly debate by the design of those who might practice it. The bards who have delved deep into obscure lore use their archaic knowledge to spread rumors about themselves and their enemies. Over time, truth and lies congeal into an incoherent mess, and in the confusion, the bard is quietly forgotten or found unapproachable. Their surprising ineffability aside, a bard may walk the path of College of Conspiracy for noble reasons, acting on behalf of some greater good, though certainly this path is laden with temptations to lie for one's own benefit. Unlike other shadowy bardic counterparts who might be acting on behalf of another, the College of Conspiracy is filled with actors who would rather see a goal accomplished than hoarding knowledge for knowledge's sake. And that's a really interesting start. And appropriately, a College of Conspiracy is questioned as to whether it exists because it's in the name, right? So I like that. And it says, starting at when you join this Bard College, the rumors and deceits that you share have a tendency to metastasize when you succeed on a deception check against a creature's insight or passive insight. Whenever that creature speaks to another creature, the lie spreads. For the next 24 hours, each creature speaking to the original target of your lie believes the deception as though they too had failed the insight check. I love that. That's a fun mechanic for sure. Confounding words. Also starting at 3rd level, you may use your oratory skills to falsify the resilience of you and your allies, making creatures appear unscathed by attacks to the naked eye. When you or a creature within 60 feet of you that can see or hear you takes damage, you can use your reaction to expend one of your bardic inspiration uses, rolling a bardic inspiration die. After applying the damage, the creature gains temporary hit points equal to the damage taken plus the number rolled. So that's nice. You're kind of like restoring some hit points with some temporary ones, but I love the flavor of it, that it's saying that like it's deceiving you and making you look like you haven't been injured. So very nice way to bring in some temporary hit points. So I'm loving all of this so far. Reputed identity. At 6th level, you learn to conceal your true nature, hiding your identity behind illusions and silencing those who can see the truth. If you did not know it already, you learn the disguise self spell. So that's helpful. And then produce remnant. Starting at 16th level, in order to acquire the secrets of the plains, you've learned to create a pair of artifacts, a false hand and eye, which you seed into rumors and legends as items of truly devastating power. You may spend a day crafting an eye and hand, and can only make a new pair if both are destroyed. In order to use these remnants, a humanoid creature must replace their own eye or hand with the remnant. The ambitious bearers of these remnants become subtly bound to your will, even over great distances. The bearer cannot target you with any attack, nor can they subject you to any effect which requires a saving throw. You may cast any spell with a range of touch on a creature using a remnant, regardless of distance. Additionally, the 2 remnants confer the following benefits. So the eye, a creature bearing the eye gains true sight. Hand, when a creature bearing the hand makes a melee spell attack or a melee weapon attack using the hand, it deals an additional cold damage. So fun stuff. I'm not reading everything because I want you to come here and check it out yourself. But I'm loving all of this. The art looks great and the concepts are cool. So I think you're going to need to click it in the links. It's under Archivist's Bounty. Give it a click. Next we have Capes and Crooks, a 5th edition superhero RPG. Create your own unique superhero in this ultra modern campaign setting. And it's compatible with 5th edition, of course. It's from Crit Academy, $14.99 for 215 pages. And Crit Academy has a great YouTube channel, so you should check them out. I'm often going on their live streams and watching them talk about cool stuff, so you should get in there as well. And it says, Capes and Crooks utilizes the core rules for the 5th edition of the world's greatest role-playing game and adds its own unique twist. You will take on the role of a superhero, or a villain if you prefer, and completely customize your character with unique origins, roles, powers, and alter egos. With a group of friends and a bit of imagination, you will strike out on dangerous missions and terrifying challenges, from stopping bank robbers and handling deadly hostage negotiations to slaying monstrosities created from a mad scientist's experimentation. You also have to deal with the realities of a law and order society that doesn't exactly look kindly on those with powers. This book contains a world setting, character creation rules, equipment, powers, enhancements, magic items, tech, monsters, villains, and NPCs. It takes place during the ultra-modern world of Terra, a place of science, technology, evolution, and even ancient lost magic. 25 years ago, people around the world found themselves mysteriously imbued with fantastical gifts now called deviants. These people take on many roles as they struggle to find their place in this new world. So, fun backstory, cool little world, and everybody knows about superheroes, right? I mean, and they even have a video down here you can watch. With the Marvel Universe and Batman and all these different things going on. Everybody has some familiarity with it and could probably easily portray them because we've seen them so much in our media. And it's nice that Crit Academy has brought it to the 5th edition. There's other superhero role-playing games out there, but they're not based on the 5th edition. So it's nice to have one that's leaning on the 5th edition to help ease you into it here. And so looking inside, you've got your table of contents. It's all about your alter ego, creating your background, basically your origins, and then your roles. So it should be like your classes. So they have mystic, psychic, shapeshifter, speedster, all kinds of stuff, armor, ability checks. I mean, this is massive. I mean, 215 pages of stuff. Various conditions that you have to deal with, superpowers, multiverse. Yeah, and look at the fun comic book style artwork, how to run the game. You get to see 25 pages here out of the 215. So, yeah, this could be really fun to play, I'm sure. So you got the Beast Man. So those are like basically these origins are your races in D&D. So you got the android, the experiment, freak accident. So let's read about the freak accident. That sounds fun. In a world of many dangers, from lab accidents to natural disasters and cosmic energies to chemical rays, some accidents are prone to happen. From time to time, a poor soul will end up in the wrong place at the wrong time, sealing their fate as another cautionary tale and resetting the days since last accident board to 0. So, however, some live to tell the tale, and even fewer emerge with unique and impressive new abilities, whether they be from freak lightning storms, chemical containment gone wrong, a burst of cosmic radiation, or a combination of several such harrowing events. Some individuals have been known to develop strange supernatural abilities because of their accidental victimhood. So think of characters like the Hulk, or maybe even you could consider the Fantastic Four as part of Freak Accident. I'm a freak accident. They're everywhere. So you've got the traits here. So your ability score increases, and you got your size, all that stuff. Innate power. Choose one first level superpower. You know that power and can activate it at its lowest level. Once you activate this power, you must finish a long rest before you can use it again. And yeah, that's cool. They've got geniuses, inherited. I mean, so many different options for your backgrounds or your whatever you want to call them, your species, your race, etc. Um, the terminology has been evolving, but I love it. I love that they have all these origins in here for you, and just looks like a lot of fun. 215 pages of superhero goodness. So I think you need to get your superhero on and look for capes and crooks in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have the Dragon's Hoard, issue 14, with 20 magic items, 13 spells, 4 new class options, and 4 monsters. From Legendary Games, it's $5.99 for 30 pages. And so it's a monthly anthology of all these things. And in this particular case, you've got magical items like the Crown of Radiance, Bolstering Battle Axe, Cyclops Monocle, and Rod of the Monkey King. And then you've got new spells, including Final Witness, Cage of Sacred Silver, Unfortunate Origami, and Avenge Me. And then new class options, including the Hex Hunter, Way of Balance, and Jinxed Sorcerer. And then creatures like the Calligraphy Worm, the Spirit of Abandon, and of course Krampus. And I think that's really fun. Let's take a look inside. So you get to see 5 of those 30 pages, and it shows you kind of the order here that goes through the treasure trove, and then spells, and then you get into the subclasses and the monsters. So we'll read one of the items here because you get to see quite a bit of the items. So let's do the Crown of Radiance Major. It's a Wondrous item rare. It says, elaborately crafted, this golden crown allows the wearer to cast Sacred Flame at will, with damage increasing based on the wearer's level, regardless of their class. Whenever the wearer casts Sacred Flame without the aid of the crown, such as a cleric casting it as a cantrip, the damage dealt by the Sacred Flame is increased by 2d8, and any fiend or undead you target takes 2d8 radiant damage, even if they succeed on their saving throw. So it increases your Sacred Flame abilities with that. That's a fun little idea. And then you've got the Cyclops Monocle. It's a Wondrous item rare. This monocle lets the wearer see an instant into the future, helping to avert disaster. You can act normally in a surprise round. In addition, when you roll a natural 1 on any ability check, you can re-roll the check once. You regain the ability to re-roll a check after a long rest. So, very flavorful. I like it. I always think these issues are fun, have some value in there for you. So check it out under Dragon's Hoard 14 in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have the Endless Cold, an adventure from Adventure Bundles, and it's level 3, and it's got an even amount of exploration, combat, and roleplay. It says, help a small town survive the supernatural weather. Hogstad is a small village in the very north of the known world. For miles and miles around, there exists nothing but pine forests, permafrost, arid lands, and snowy mountain ranges with glaciers occupying their tops. It is a place where families of fishers and hunters live, people who have learned to make the best of the rough terrain. Now, though, it is all about to change as a blizzard hits fiercely upon the settlement and does not seem to retreat as the days passed. So it's a mysterious blizzard here kind of taking over this town. So it'd be fun to explore why that's happening. And it's for 4 to 6 level 3 characters, and it's inspired by the strategy game Frostpunk. It says it's not a typical 5th edition adventure. It plays out in a span of many days, where on some days random events will happen in between other scripted events. The decision making of the party during these events will affect the lives of locals in many ways, as in the endless cold actions bring real consequences. Furthermore, there is a morale system in the adventure, and depending on the outcome of these events, it can drop or rise, bringing in more outcomes. So very fun, and it's got battle maps, 4 homebrew items as printable cards, and a map of the village. And we looked at Monsters of the North earlier, which has all those cold-themed monsters, so you might be able to use those with that, or anything even left over from your Frostmaiden stuff if you've played through that with Wizards of the Coast release. But looking inside, you got this cool little map, and cool in both senses of the word, map for the village. Looks nice. They always have nice maps in adventure bundles. And then you've got your hooks, all the information in here. You got random events. And then here's a battle map that looks really fun. some planned events. You're getting to see the whole book in here. So there's really no excuse not to at least take a look. Got lots of monsters, and here's all the magic items. They always have some cool magic items. So we'll read one of those. So Pelt of the Winterland Scout. It's a Wondrous item rare. You have resistance to cold damage while wearing the pelt. In addition, once per 7 days, you can speak the pelt's command word. The pelt will grow around you, engulfing you and eventually transforming you into a winter wolf. For 1 hour or until you choose to end the effect, you have the stats of the creature. If you drop to 0 hit points while in the winter wolf form, you revert to your normal form, having the same stats you had before the transformation. If you receive a blow while in the winter wolf form that would kill you instantly, then you die as the wolf and don't revert to your original form. Yeah, that would be no good. You don't want to die. So let's go up here and see if we can find some stuff to read for you. It's just a lot of fun stuff. I think that you should definitely take some time to read all of it, because you can literally read the whole adventure here before deciding to purchase. So for the adventure hooks, locals, this adventure hook works best if the adventure is played as a one-shot. The PCs are locals, friends, and the only ones in the village with actual combat experience. As the blizzard doesn't seem to go away, the rest of the locals look to them for advice and resolution, since they are inexperienced with anything supernatural. Passing through, the PCs are on their way to somewhere else and decided to have a day or two of rest in the local lodge. To their bad luck, the blizzard happens during their stay, and as the rest of the locals have no real combat experience, they ask the party to resolve the events, as they offer them leadership in its hard time. So, very cool. I like it. And like I said, there's a lot of reusability. You know, they've got random events in here that you can use, magic items that you can use, all kinds of little encounters that can maybe be used in Frostmaiden or other places. And then you've got magic items you can use elsewhere. And it works with books like Monsters of the North or anything Arctic. So, loving it. Once again, from Adventure Bundles with great maps. Check it out under Endless Cold in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have the Game Master's Guide to Evolving Magic Items, creating engaging 5th edition magic items that grow with your players, by AlphaStream. And it's on sale for $3.95, normally $4.95, 18 pages. And author Teos Abadia. Want magic items that grow with your character and engage your players? This guide provides a simple process for creating compelling magic items and introduces a new concept known as evolving signature magic items. So a simple explanation of how magic items are meant to be rewarded in 5th edition is included, so you can read that. It says know exactly how many items to provide your players at each level of play. Guidelines for modifying existing items to make them feel unique and engage your players. Advice for making cursed items fun. A system for creating signature items customized to each character. And rules to evolve those signature items over time so they grow with the characters and keep your players engaged. So that, that's always a challenge. You get these items and then it's like, it's not that useful anymore, but I don't have anything else. And what do I do with it? And when am I going to have an opportunity to sell it? How much is, just all this hassle, right? But if it grows with you, then you don't have to worry about it. Magic items you customize with this process will enchant your players. The items stay useful and interesting across your entire campaign and can even launch their own quests as players seek to uncover an item's full potential. Importantly, this method keeps you in control and avoids power creep. This guide came from my guest appearance on Dragon Talk, the official D&D podcast. Host Shelly Mezzanoble and I discussed this technique and used it live on air to come up with ideas for magic items. So that's cool. So AlphaStream was on the Dragon Talk podcast and came up with this idea, and now it's here for you. So very fun. I love that. And let's take a look inside. You get to see 7 of those 18 pages. So you've got the introduction, some guidance for you, then talking about cursed item, including some fun curses, and ending the curses, and then creating engaging and rewarding magic items, evolving your signature magic items, etc. So, yeah, we'll read a little bit of this, but I just think that's so helpful that they're focused on helping you figure out how best to implement magic items, and then coming up with ways to extend their life, instead of just a couple levels, right? You can make these things last longer. So it says, let's quickly address cursed items as they are a special kind of magic item. We want them to be fun even while posing a challenge. If an item causes a character to always attack at disadvantage or always attack themselves, that will be very frustrating. And if the characters have access to the spell Remove Curse, cursed items as written won't have much of an effect. Here are some guidelines to address both issues. Fun curses. A fun cursed item is one that is interesting without being overly frustrating, so that's a really good design point to keep in mind. Any drawback still allows the character to function and the player to have agency and fun. Fun curse may offer choices. A fun curse may offer role-playing opportunities. A cursed item should still be a drawback, and the player and the character should seek to end the curse, but you're not like ruining their fun with this, right? So they've got some examples. The cursed item adds a personality trait that is a drawback. You might now be loud and opinionated. You might speak to take on challenges against which you might not prevail. You might now revere a different deity. The curse could require you to always seek the high ground in combat, even if that is dangerous or foolhardy. So yeah, I like those. Those are all role-play opportunities and really expanding how you connect to this cursed item without being like impossible to deal with, like making you louder. You can still function, you can still go about your business, you can still have fun. There may be benefits to the item, like maybe it's, you know, really powerful damage in a damage way, and so you're okay with having to be loud and deal with this at least a little bit. You know, it's not the end of the world. So I like that. And then ending the curse, so that it says the remove curse spell is often dissatisfying because it is all or nothing. At low levels, the spell isn't available and the curses can last a very long time. At higher levels, it ends curses so quickly that there's barely any impact from a curse. Consider the following. The remove curse spell can temporarily abate the curse effects for a few minutes or even an hour, but does not remove the curse permanently. A greater restoration spell can provide 24 hours of relief there. To permanently remove the curse, something specific must be done based on the item. For example, a weapon that thirsts for blood may require slaying a specific creature or brokering peace between two warring creatures. Ending the curse may be tied to the item's history. Finding the history can be its own interesting quest to learn what caused the item to become cursed. Characters may need to undo the situation that caused the curse to first appear. So I like this. It's giving you really sound advice, guiding you, and offering new ideas, right? Sometimes advice books are just kind of like, oh, here's some advice, and it's, you know, you could have lived without it. But I feel like, you know, AlphaStream and Teos here are really trying to help you, and not just new DMs. I think this is going to be really super useful for existing DMs. And we didn't even read anything about the evolving items or engaging the items further, right? We just read the curse part, and the curse part alone was worth the price of admission. So I think you really should get this book, read the whole thing, absorb it, and do it while it's on sale, because it's $3.95 right now. So look for it in the video description links under Game Master's Guide to Evolving Magic Items and give it a click. Next we have GPH3, Marble Acropolis of the Air Genies. It says adventurers seek out the sapphire of aerial perfection, reputed to be held within a palace in the sky. This is an adventure for 4 to 7 high-level characters. So yeah, that sounds really fun. It says it's OSR compatible. So that's cool. It's for OSR, and we'll take a look inside. So you've got your inhabitants. So there's air genies that reside in the palace. You've got guests, the help, environment, movement and falling, and then this really fun map for like all these things that are in the sky with these genies. So you've got this events and top down. So you're only going to see 5 of the 20 pages, but it's really cool to have genie stuff. So it says 5 air genie reside in the palace: Forzan, Katara, Manaz, Borzu, and Tufan. Forzan and Katara are concerned with the evil influence Sapphire has on Borzu and Tufan, and its attraction of evil inhabitants and guests to the palace. The current guests residing at the palace include Semerkat, a mummy lord and his entourage, and Orth as a Rye leader with his stone guardian and entourage, Djudi and Androsphinx, and Zakak, a corrupted silver dragon, are permanent residents. So very fun. Yeah, I like the flavor of this, and some of this could be used for 5th edition as well. And this map is really cool. So check it out under GPH 3 Marble Acropolis in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Norse Village Builder 4, the stables building, with this fun little paper craft where you can make like a little stable or a little building, and it's from Paper Schnitzel for $3 for 9 pages. And it's got kind of a Norse look, but I think it could be used with a lot of things. It's got the standard core building, but it comes with wood plank style walls and a thatched roof. But you can see some variations, because like this one doesn't have those outcroppings here like it does. So you could add that, I'm guessing, over this side maybe. I'm not sure, but anyway, it's in here. It fits the 28 to 30 millimeter range miniatures perfectly. And it's got registration marks for auto cutters. And it's just basically a PDF with US legal and A4 paper sizes. So you could print your own little village. And there's a whole series of these that you can explore under Paper Schnitzel, but this was the one that came out this week, and I just thought it was really fun. You can always use a little stables building for sure, and I'm sure you can make other buildings with the pieces once you've got this purchased. So check it out under Norse Village Builder 4 in the links below and give it a click. Next we have La Notte Eterna Quick Start Guide for 5th edition from 𝙤𝙘𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙀 Edizione, and it is 50 cents on Pay What You Want for 58 pages. And it says, Navarasa is racked by the celestial war. The worlds are under siege by the gods and their powerful armies. Leon, god of the sun, was imprisoned, and Nair has fallen under eternal darkness. Meteors in the shape of angels, demons, and artifacts fall on the land, spreading across chaos among mortals. It's an epic fantasy setting created by author Jason R. Forbes. The project was started more than 15 years ago, and over the years has grown with new ideas, game mechanics, updates, edits, and improvements. The setting currently comprises a core manual of over 300 pages, a monster manual that adds dozens of new creatures and mechanics, a collection of short stories based in the world of Nier, offering ideas for new quests and characters, and an adventure to get you started in Notte Eterna Creeping Death. And it's basically a quick start guide that's designed to provide all the elements necessary to start exploring. Includes 3 new playable races, 2 paths, a summary description of the kingdoms and the gods, as well as a one-shot adventure and a link to download the character sheet and a battle map. So, and I love the cover art. I think that's really gorgeous. But 58 pages for 50 cents. I mean, that's pretty good price for that many pages. So the preview just shows some of the artwork and kind of goes through the intro, so I'm not going to read that, but I want you to see how nice the art is, and it just kind of gives you the history. I was looking at this earlier, of where this book came from and the years of work on it, and then talking about what the full campaign is going to have. But I mean, I think for 50 cents to get access to 58 pages and start checking it out would be really cool. And you can find it under QSG La Notte Eterna in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Rings of Strife, an original Orator's creation. And it's only $1 for 9 pages, and it serves as a guide for a wide variety of story building purposes. It's made with 5th edition rules in mind, but can be easily adapted. The 7-page document is all you need to get a jump start on your next campaign. You can use this content to help make anything from a short adventure to your own long-form game. The rings this content speaks of are magical items that have the potential to influence and be the center point of your story, or they can be something less impactful, whatever you desire. In addition, they are highly customizable. Mini tables are included for assistance and inspiration. So these 2 rings that are on the cover are kind of the crux of everything in here. So you've got example lore, deciding the meaning of the rings, and then creation of the rings. So rather than just like telling you what the rings do, they're kind of setting you up to figure that all out yourself. You can use the sample lore they have here, or you can come up with your own thing. And they've got tables like percentage of the rings remaining, and the ring quirks and origins in here to kind of flesh it out, which I think is nice, because when you buy something that's already just like established, then it's just that is what it is, and you can tweak it with your own homebrew if you want. But in this case, they're kind of saying, well, instead of just giving it to you exactly the way it is, we'll give you like variations of it using these tables, and then you can either use it repeatedly or try different things. So the lore is pretty cool here that you can read through, but how the rings are to be perceived and how they interact in the game world will be different for every campaign. You should decide if the rings are a minor one-off item, what the entire campaign focuses on, or something in between. Is the party going to use these rings to defeat the big bad, or are they going to seek to defeat the creator and shut it all down? And then it talks about working the rings into your game, and then quick creation, and then percentages of rings remaining. So on a D8, at or near 100%, essentially just a companion, the rings offer almost nothing besides insight into a situation at hand. And then 8, final ring, the power straining effects would likely cripple and kill anyone outside of a legendary hero or villain who has become familiar with the rings. The effects the rings imbue are in alignment with the creator's own. While still an artifact, the ring has advanced beyond its current state into something to be written about for the ages. The wearer has quite literally all the power beholden to a legendary dragon. And then you've got quirks. So one example is the creator is not in control of the rings, and the drain of power is a constant one that burdens themselves. They seek to end the rings but cannot themselves, and can only manage fleeting messages once in a while. And then under origins, the creator's real motive is to spy on powerful individuals that would be drawn to the rings and the power they possess. So you can use these kind of tables for lots of things, not just these rings. I think there's some value beyond the rings here, and it's only $1. So check it out under Rings of Strife in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have SR3m Knightly Tournaments by Sir Lou Kahn from Starry Night Press. It says a guide to jousting and tournament combat. +3 combat scenarios. This guide focuses on setting forth rules for simulating medieval tournament-style mounted and melee combat for use with the modern version of D&D. Although its rules focused on alternating ability checks are compatible with most fantasy role-playing games. The pageantry and show of jousting and tournament combat is always a grand spectacle in most medieval campaigns based on our historical past, and this guide aims to help you and your players integrate that style of combat into your game. So one comment, it says the modern version of the greatest role-playing game. I think the author means the latest 5th edition from Dungeons & Dragons, because there is also modern as a sort of offshoot where you're playing in more present day time period. I don't think that's what the author means here. I think they still mean fantasy version of Dungeons and Dragons. So if you're watching Lou, you might want to change that to say something like the current version, or the 5th edition or something, just to clarify. The supplement also includes 3 tournament combat scenarios, so your players will be strapped to a warhorse and hammering down a list at their opponent, or charging into tournament melee in little to no time. These scenarios take place in 3 separate kingdoms within the author's published campaign of Terrans. So you've got your players will be contestants in the yearly grand tournament of the village of Dún Clúan, and the players in Test of Honor Challenge à la Guerre. Players will face off against a dark knight who has captured a group of druids with the intent of selling them into bondage. And then to save Escatorp, the players are captured by marauders who have sieged the village of Escatorp. Their bloodthirsty leader offers the players a choice: engage in a grand melee against him and his troops, with the victor departing in peace, or face execution. The book is intended to evoke the excitement and thrills of tournament combat, with players facing 3 different types of challenges in the included scenarios. And originally it was written for Osric, but the 5th edition needs it as well, so they went ahead and adapted it for that. So that's awesome. Let's take a look. Oh, there is no full preview, so we'll look at the quick preview. That's right. No worries. And we've got all the artwork in here and nice, easy to read text. It looks like they're using that 1st edition style font that I love. And yeah, a little fun line arts to go with it. I think it could be a lot of fun. It looks like there's even, other kinds of mounts, like this like griffin looking thing here. So very cool, and it's on sale for only $5.99. So if you're looking for some tournaments, jousting, goodness, along with some scenarios, some encounters, those ones that we described, they were pretty good. They weren't just like, oh, there's a bad person that shows up and demands a fight. It's like it was detailed, like we captured these druids, we're gonna sell them, so into slavery. I like the details of the encounters as well. So look for it under SR3m in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Stone and Sorcery Campaign Guide from Blue Goblin Games, and it's only $4.99 for 25 pages, and it's a quick and easy to use campaign reference guide to the world of Stone and Sorcery for D&D 5th edition. Inside you will find all the exciting basic startup rules for running an epic Stone Age campaign. The manual covers new available races to choose from, class restrictions, primitive weapon and armor breaking rules, trade and monetary rules, areas of note within the campaign setting, and comes with a map of the continent. So you bring in the Stone Age into things, which could just be a region that's stuck in the Stone Age, or it could be a whole campaign world setting. You've got savage races take control of various strange and exotic Stone Age races such as saber-toothed tiger folk and Neanderthal. You got the campaign world of Stone and Sorcery that takes place in the world of Primordia, specifically on the great continent known as Oba before even the existence of mankind. It is a continent of extreme natural hazards, from the frozen desolation of the northern region of Glacius to the sweltering jungles of southern Selva. These realms are wrought with all manner of dangerous obstacles. And it says you can enter a realm of savagery and blood, a world where the cruel undead Yuan-Ti pharaohs rule the people of Oba with an iron fist, a land where courageous heroes like yourself must find the strength to rise up and revolt against the powers of darkness and free the primordial world from the clutches of these evil serpent men. Very fun. So let's take a look inside. So you've got Adventures in the Stone World here, Children of Gaia, and then the setting, and then introduction, 5th edition, and then here you've got the whole world here of Glacius, all these things, Morag, Savan, Selva, Taiga. Yeah, lots of fun stuff. I really like it. Let's read a little bit about Shamo, Desert of the Red Sun, a seemingly endless region of great sand dunes and desolate salt flats. The sweltering desert wasteland lies east and borders the dry, grassy plains Savan. The landscape is riddled with ancient crumbling ruins and fallen cities once inhabited by a long-forgotten race and untold eons, past even before the golden age of Diamond Dias. The Shamo Desert, though desolate and dry, is still filled with various forms of wildlife, most of them deadly. Creatures such as giant insects, monstrous reptiles, and even a few scattered tribes of nomadic Jende and sand scales eke out an existence amongst the white sand dunes and rugged hills. Also living amongst the desert ruins are small clans of Sitka, a brutal race of corrupt, militaristic Sasquatch who hunt and wage war on all sentient races they come upon. These cannibal giants are known throughout the realms of Oba as master metalworkers and weaponsmiths. It is rumored that a powerful and ancient clan of blue dragons rule over Sitka, who worship these ancient monsters as gods. Very fun. Yeah, so they got some flavorful locations and just feels very like prehistoric. So I think it could be a really good time for you. So check it out under Stone and Sorcery in the links below and give it a click. Next we have VTG Battle Maps, Pirates High Seas Attack. And you can see in here that there's basically in the map, there's these two different ships with some sort of tentacled thing here in the water. But I love that there's two together on the same map. So you could really have this battle between two ships. Maybe the pirates are here and they're taking on this other vessel that your characters are on, or vice versa. And it's from Penguin Comics. It's a suggested pay what you want price of $2 for 24 pages. And it says this is a sample map for you to explore what's in the other paid VTT maps. This pirate-themed setting shows two ships, one larger pirate ship and a smaller merchant vessel currently under attack with burning sails and crushed lifeboats. There's a lot going on. Got 300 DPI, 72 DPI, grid, no grid. All kinds of fun things, and the artwork is just really nice, and I love the style of it. So if you're looking for something nautical, if you're looking for something pirate, at a pay what you want price, then look in the links below for VTT Battle Maps and give it a click. Next we have Who Are They? NPCs for DMs put on the spot. And it's from VIP Publishing. It's only 99 cents on sale, normally $2.15 for 80 pages. That's a lot of pages. It's a collection of over 70 NPCs complete with brief stat blocks, motivations, and an adventure hook for DMs who are put on the spot by the ever-inquisitive player who asks, well, who owns this shop? Or who else is in the tavern, and what do they look like? Or I ask if anyone has seen anything, who comes forward? These NPCs are detailed enough to satisfy the player's curiosity, while leaving enough open to interpretation so that the GM can utilize them in numerous situations. Each NPC is presented entirely on one page, making it easy for the GM to see all the basic information about the NPC at a glance, or easy to print ahead of time. So, very fun. Let's take a look inside. So you can see all the mini NPCs listed here. You get to see 10 of those 80 pages. So you've got Alfric Hunter, he's a male human tinker, an appearance, and then Alvin Russell, male half-orc town crier, Alera Graham, female human sailor, etc. So lots of examples here, and we'll read one here at the end. Baneth Thaler, a human tailor. Baneth wears fine clothes and has tape measure draped over his shoulder. He has light skin and blue eyes. His dark brown hair is cropped short. He has a dark brown goatee. His hands have a slight trimmer. He's 26 years old, 5 foot 6 inches, and weighs 140 pounds. He seems to be friends with everyone. He believes it is important to choose one's own goals and to be forgiving. He believes taking risks is usually not worth it. He serves the god of weaving, and his alignment is neutral good. His family wants to control his life, but he just wants to be free to forge his own path. So that's the adventure hook. So there's an adventure hook for each of these. And then you've got the stat block. So I think that's a cool structure that you get kind of their appearance, their personality, and then an adventure hook along with the stat block. And, 70 of them for 99 cents. I mean, that's almost a penny, just a little over a penny per NPC. So I think that's a really great price. I would grab it while it's on sale here. So look for it in the links below under Who Are They? Well, that's the last title for this week. Please follow me on Twitter at Splinterverse so you can find out about my exciting Kickstarter coming later this year. Cannot wait to be able to tell you what that's about. It's going to blow your minds, I'm certain. And we've got all kinds of other things that you can do to help. You can subscribe to the channel. You can click the like button. You can leave us a comment. I love responding to those comments. You can share the video with your friends on your socials. You can click those links in the video description to support all the wonderful, fabulous creators we've covered this week. Encourage them to keep going. Leave them comments, reviews, all that good stuff. And if you purchase anything after you click those links, even if it's not one of the books we covered, we do get a small percentage, and it comes back to help the channel. So if you're going to shop on one of these sites, please be sure to click one of those links first. And if you're feeling super generous today, we do have 5 books that we put out from Splinterverse Media in 2021, and they're all listed as well. We've got the Feywild Companion, which is over 150 pages of Feywild fun with maps and tokens and subclasses, things for players and DMs alike. We've got Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, which goes well with the Treasury if you purchase that, and it works on its own as well. It's got subclasses for every single class that have a dragon feel to them, and trinkets, hooks, you name it, it's in there. And then Potions Unlocked has a magic school where you can learn potions, so you can use that with Strixhaven, or you can just use any of the wonderful potions in there. There's a short story for every single potion. Rogue Watson just reviewed it and really enjoyed the detail that was put into there, and some of the optional rules that we created as well. So you got to see what that's all about, and it's print on demand or digital. And then we've got Secrets of the Draugr, a brand new race with deities, adventure hooks, fortune-telling method, and subclasses. And then Van Ritten's Libram of Lineages with those 4 fun, flavorful lineages suitable for any setting, like the Keykeeper, where you have this arcane key that's tied to your soul, or any of the other 4 that are in there. They're just really fun and flavorful and different, and have inherent conflict that can make your character creation just something different than you've had before, where there's so much to play with for you as a player and for the DM in terms of backstory. So check all those out. They're listed in the video description links, as well as all the great books we've talked about this week. So to all the creators out there, keep up the great work. I love looking at what you're doing, and I encourage you to keep going. I know it can be challenging at times, but people like me are out here, and we want to see what ideas you have and really enjoy your creativity. So don't give up. And until next time, happy adventuring.